I'm no errand boy, and I'm not in this war for Dooku's politics. I am the leader of the most powerful droid army the galaxy has ever seen. An army with no loyalty, no spirit, just programming. What have you to show for all your power? What have you to gain? The future, a future where there are no Jedi. Grievous and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Grievous, originally named Kimayan Jai Shilal, was a Kaleesh male warlord who served as a commanding officer in the military forces of the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars, in the final years of the Republic era. As a general in the Separatist droid army, he also held the title of Supreme Marshal Commander of the Separatist droid armies throughout the war, leading numerous engagements against the Republic's Grand Army. Renowned for his ruthless tactics and extensive cybernetic enhancements, Grievous wielded the Separatist droid army and his combat skills to spread fear across the galaxy, invading planets and confronting many Jedi Knights whom he considered his sworn enemies. Hailing from Kaylee, a planet in wild space, Shilal became a formidable warrior and master of battle tactics, while leading his people in their war against the technologically advanced Yamrai invaders from the planet Hook. He eventually adopted the name Grievous and continued his conquests, becoming a feared warlord on his homeworld. Accompanied by a group of personal bodyguards known as the Izvoshra, Grievous's potential was recognized by the Sith Lords Darth Sidious and Darth Tyrannus, Count Dooku of Sereno. The Sith saw Grievous's ruthless effectiveness as he waged a relentless war against the Yamri, expelling them from Kaylee. However, the intervention of the Galactic Republic and Jedi Order on the side of the Yamri led to severe repercussions and famine for the Kaleesh, which fueled Grievous' enduring grudge. The Sith, with significant plans for Grievous, offered him cybernetic enhancements, which he accepted over time. Later, Dooku conspired to mortally wound Grievous by sabotaging his shuttle, causing a crash that nearly killed him. To survive, Grievous relinquished most of his organic form, which had either been lost in the crash or sacrificed by choice. Reconstructed and transformed, Grievous became a skilled lightsaber duelist under Dooku's guidance, who trained him in the arts of lightsaber combat and eventually welcomed him into the Confederacy as a warrior. Shortly after the Clone Wars began, Grievous was granted the rank of general and the title of Supreme Marshal Commander of the Separatist droid armies, making him one of the most powerful figures in the Separatist alliance, second only to Dooku. Throughout the Clone Wars, Grievous demonstrated his prowess as a brilliant military strategist and melee combatant in numerous campaigns against the Republic. He earned a reputation for hunting and killing Jedi Knights, collecting their lightsabers as trophies and weapons for future battles. His position and threat level made him one of the Republic's primary targets throughout the war. Grievous developed a personal nemesis in Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, whom he battled multiple times. Days before the war's end in 19 BBY, Grievous, under orders from Darth Sidious, launched a bold and unprecedented assault on Coruscant, the Republic's capital world. During this attack, Grievous managed to capture Supreme Chancellor Sheev Palpatine, who was secretly Sidious himself, and took him aboard his flagship, the Providence-class dreadnought Invisible Hand. However, Jedi generals Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker rescued the Chancellor from Grievous' grasp, resulting in Dooku's death. Following this, Grievous became the de facto leader of the entire Separatist alliance, withdrawing all remaining forces and fleeing to the Outer Rim territories to prolong the war. After the Battle of Coruscant, Grievous succeeded Dooku as the Confederacy's head of state and retreated to Utapau, where he addressed and relocated the Executive Separatist Council to Mustafar under Sidious's orders. Unbeknownst to Grievous, his location on Utapau was betrayed by Sidious, leading to a Republic invasion aimed at ending the war decisively. Grievous was ultimately slain by his nemesis, General Kenobi, after a prolonged chase, leading to the war's conclusion and the subsequent collapse of the Confederacy. "I have toppled nations, I have slain kings, and I have murdered legends," Grievous on his several victories. Born years before the Clone Wars, into a family that included his father, the Kaleesh male who would become known as Grievous, was originally named Kimayan Jai Shilal and hailed from the wild space planet Kaylee. Shilal was born during a period of ongoing war between the Kaleesh and the technologically advanced Yamri, an insectoid species from the desolate planet Hook, within the same star system. The Yamri ruthlessly invaded many worlds in the sector, plundering their resources and enslaving their populations. The Kalish were one of the Yamri's victims, suffering devastating consequences from their focus on Kali. Despite this, the Kalish were also formidable conquerors, and from a young age, Shilal idolized the warlords of Kali, watching them return home with the spoils of their conquests. Shilal's father taught him to use a slug thrower, specifically the Churka Arms Outland rifle. By the age of 8, Shilal served as a sniper and had already killed 40 enemies. As he grew older, Shilal quickly rose through the ranks, becoming a feared warrior and warlord. He learned brutal and determined strategies, battle tactics, and the art of warfare in the fight against the Yamri. As a successful warlord of Kali, Shilal had a natural talent for instructing, encouraging, and managing his fellow Kalish warriors effectively. He often wore a cloak and head wrap, along with a mask carved from the skull of a predatory animal known as a mumu. In battle, he wielded weapons like a curved sword and an elongated curved shield. Shilal developed a habit of collecting weapons as trophies from his numerous enemies. Like others of his species, he was known for his lack of mercy and obsession with the glory of war, valuing bravery and combat above all else. He became a revered warrior and one of the greatest military leaders of his time, eventually becoming a legendary figure among his people. During this period, Shilal also developed a deep hatred for the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Knights, who were nearly unbeatable in close combat, due to their supernatural abilities derived from the mystical energy field known as the Force. He despised the Jedi for their skills. The infamous Kalish warrior earned a remarkable and bloody reputation among his people and others, eventually adopting the moniker Grievous. Over his years of battle, Grievous traveled and fought alongside Kali's finest warriors, the Izvoshra. He assembled them into his elite bodyguard, each member a Khan commanding their own troops. The courageous Izvoshra shared in Grievous's victories and love of battle, seemingly always at his side. Accompanied by his Izvoshra, Grievous directed his attention to the stars, continuing his conquests. Throughout his exploits, he overthrew nations, killed kings, and murdered legends. During this period, he encountered a Wookiee warrior and decapitated a member of the Skrilling species. Grievous led his people in a relentless war against the Yamri with increased vigor and determination. Eventually, the Kalish forces successfully expelled the Yamri from their world. Grievous then launched devastating campaigns on Huk, sweeping across the barren Huk worlds with the help of his bodyguards. However, the Yamri unexpectedly sought assistance from the Republic. The Republic and the Jedi intervened, siding with the Yamri against the invaders. The Kalish faced punishment. Embargoes and penalties were enforced, resulting in hundreds of thousands of deaths from starvation. This intervention deepened Grievous's hatred, leading him to develop a personal vendetta against the Republic and the Jedi for their support of the Yamri. After the catastrophic intervention, Grievous vowed to exact terrible vengeance against the Republic and the Jedi for his people's suffering. His growing reputation attracted the attention of the Sith, Darth Tyrannus, who discovered Grievous for the Sith, also known as Count Dooku, and his Sith master Darth Sidious, secretly the Republic politician Sheev Palpatine, who recognized his potential as he led his war effort. Legends claimed they were particularly interested in his strength, power, and determination. The Sith had been recruiting individuals with unique skills and a deep hatred of the Jedi, both of which Grievous possessed in abundance. As part of their plan for the Clone Wars, the Sith needed someone to lead a droid army. Grievous's intense hatred for the Jedi drove him to near madness, making him easily exploitable. It was this hatred that likely drove Grievous to join the intergalactic banking clan. However, when he became an enforcer for the banking clan and requested his elite Izvoshra bodyguards, they refused and forbade him from using his loyal Izvoshra. Instead, he led the IGBC's droid army, which he despised. Grievous then requested more advanced droids than the Trade Federation's simple combat droids, criticizing them for relying on commands from a central computer and being incapable of learning from their mistakes. After consulting with Count Dooku and requesting a more intelligent personal guard, Holowan Laboratories engineers were authorized to construct a specific series of droids to meet Grievous's exacting standards. This led to the creation of the IG-100 series Magna Guard combat droids, prototypes of autonomous combat with heuristic programming. At their creation, various fighting techniques were implanted in their memory, but Grievous insisted on erasing all their pre-programmed knowledge so he could train them himself. He also outfitted the Magna Guards under his command with distinctive cloaks featuring half-hoods and muumuu markings, nodding to the traditions of warriors from his homeworld. Grievous was phenomenally successful, and the IGBC considered him one of their most valuable assets. His exploits had already drawn the attention of Dooku and Sidious, who had significant plans for him. Grievous willingly became a cyborg, undergoing enhancements over time after being given a chance by the Sith. They sought to test technologically advanced beings, and Grievous agreed to participate in these tests. After accepting Dooku's invitation, Grievous sacrificed almost all of his physical body and nerve endings to enhance his combat abilities, gaining the strength and speed to rival even a Jedi Master through cybernetics. This transformation made him an even more formidable and fearsome warrior, turning an already capable fighter into an almost unstoppable killing machine on the battlefield, with capabilities far beyond those of a typical soldier. However, according to legends about his mental state, these augmentations only increased his anger. Grievous's transformation happened gradually. He traded many of his biological parts for upgraded mechanical ones, becoming a murderous cyborg obsessed with killing Jedi. By the time he made this choice, Grievous had become psychotic and viewed his enhancements as a logical progression. One day his shuttle was sabotaged in an assassination attempt orchestrated by San Hill, causing it to crash and nearly killing him while destroying most of his remaining original body. Rumors later circulated that Dooku was behind the crash, which was indeed true. Following the gruesome shuttle crash that left him seriously injured and nearly dead, Grievous woke up in a Bacta tank, discovering he had been nearly gutted and mutilated by surgical FX droids. Dooku claimed that a Jedi was responsible for the sabotage, fueling Grievous's hatred for them and convincing him to accept reconstruction. Grievous agreed to Dooku's offer of life-saving surgery and a return to military service. Although Dooku was directly responsible for the shuttle crash that led to Grievous's injuries and transformation, no concrete evidence existed to prove Grievous was a pawn in someone else's plan. Despite Dooku's actions, Grievous had already decided to become a cyborg and was in the process of transformation regardless of the Count's involvement. Later, historical accounts dismissed the idea that Dooku was a shadowy manipulator in Grievous's reconstruction, pointing to evidence from Grievous's life that showed he wanted to become a cyborg, independent of Dooku's role in the final steps. Separatist cybernetics experts and Geonosian biotechnicians, with the help of medical droids, surgically reconstructed Grievous under Dooku's supervision. The Geonosian biotechs provided numerous repairs and improvements, including altering parts of Grievous's brain without his knowledge to make him a smarter and faster fighter. These upgrades included heuristic combat programming and modifications to his brain tissue to better integrate with his cyborg body. However, his memory center was also altered to suppress past memories, enhance concentration, and increase aggression. Grievous's vision was enhanced with cybernetic implants, but his eyes remained his own, protected by enough of his skull to ensure the organic muscles and tendons functioned normally. His lungs were also implanted with enhancements. Critical decisions were made about what parts of his mangled body to preserve. By the time the Kaleesh warrior was rebuilt, very little of his original form remained. These remnants included his eyes, portions of his brain, bone marrow, spinal column and cord, a pair of damaged lungs, his liver, several vital internal organs, and his cold heart. The necessary parts of his digestive system were preserved to maintain his organic elements, all housed within a duranium alloy body that encased him for life. His new form featured 2 mechanical arms that could split into 4, making him a 4-armed cyborg monstrosity, 2 LX-44 robotic legs, and integrated sensors that allowed him to touch and feel, though his mind began to fracture. Grievous armor, made of Durasteel composite duranium and armorplast, wasn't as indestructible as Mandalorian Beskar, but was easier to manufacture and repair. His cyborg body was designed to resemble his Kaleesh body and warlord armor, including a faceplate that paid homage to his past, replicated his former mask. evoked his people's culture and mimicked the shape of his snub nose, bony chin protrusions and Karabakh teeth. An ultrasonic vocabulator formed his speech, enhancing his rough, powerful voice to nearly match his original voice, located behind the mask's duranium teeth where his mouth would have been. Due to his compromised lungs, his speech sometimes degraded into a rasping, random coughing fit. Grievous' spinal cord carried signals to and from his robotic limbs and body, as well as his remaining organs. Millions of pinpoint electrodes were inserted into his brain from the lining of his helmet to monitor brain activity and improve nerve signal timings. His head unit, retaining parts of his skull, could be opened for electronic repair, replacement, or further surgery. While his skeletal structure bore various callbacks to his Kalish past, most resemblances to other Kalish were eliminated. Only his beady, gold reptilian eyes with slit pupils, flat nose and elongated ears remained, surrounded by dark, tortured skin extending somewhat upward to the forehead beneath his faceplate. At first sight, only his eyes, eyelids and remaining skin indicated his reptilian ancestry, revealing his cyborg nature as horribly alive beneath his inanimate steel mask. According to some, only his eyes resembled the man he once was, and looking into them was like gazing into the gaping maw of a black hole. As a cyborg, Grievous did not need to eat or drink and could survive in both a vacuum and underwater. He was immune to poisons and toxins. A synth-skin gut sac, sealed beneath his external armor plates and ribs, many of which were designed to look like bone rather than metal, protected his remaining vital organs. The technology used for Grievous's conversion into a cyborg had its flaws. His heart and lungs were weakening, with his organic lungs irritated by the implants, resulting in a persistent cough and eventually causing difficulty in breathing. This information was kept by the Sith for future potential cyborg candidates. Grievous received his first new weapon from Dooku, a lightsaber belonging to a long-dead friend of a former Jedi. He continued to add other weapons to his collection, which he had started when he was still a warlord on Kaylee. Furious that his body had been entirely replaced with that of the droids he hated. Despite his own wish to become a cyborg, Grievous slaughtered all the guards present at his resurrection. Disgusted by his cyborg body, he reluctantly accepted the role of Supreme Commander of the separatist droid armies. No longer recognized as the person he once was, and now more machine than alien. There was almost nothing left of him but metal, mechanical actuators, armorplast and hatred. With his living Kalish flesh traded for cyborg implants, Grievous claimed his changes were improvements he chose to celebrate. Grievous was selected and trained with a lightsaber by Dooku himself, who was renowned for his swordsmanship dating back to his Jedi days. For Grievous, dealing out death was a voracious pursuit. He saw differences in saber styles as merely military techniques to learn. Despite lacking force sensitivity, he mastered several classic Jedi arts and could quickly adapt to an opponent's fighting style. His impressive and incredibly effective fighting style resulted from a combination of Dooku's teachings and a combat program. He spent countless hours watching holovids of Jedi in combat and reading all the training manuals Dooku could supply him with. In addition to his training, Grievous passed on everything he learned to his bodyguards to ensure their utmost effectiveness in combat. He used them as sparring partners to keep himself sharp. The Magna Guards shared his fearsome reputation and followed his orders more unquestioningly than even his former supporters. Grievous was rarely seen without at least 2 Magna Guards by his side, forming an almost impenetrable shield around him. Grievous voluntarily submitted to mechanical modifications, continually altering and improving his cybernetic body. The statues lining the halls of his fortress told the story of his transformation in the privacy of his inner sanctum. Some stories stated that Grievous was already a cyborg when Count Dooku recruited him, as evidenced by the statues on Vasek's third moon. According to one legend, during Grievous's transformation, he initially made simple enhancements before progressing to more extreme changes. This legend claimed Grievous transformed himself because he admired the logic of droids and wanted to mirror their infallibility, strength, and power. Although he was confused about his final form, he despised his mechanical militia, implying deeper thoughts about his own drastic transformation. Regardless of his path, Grievous' cybernetics greatly improved his skills, providing him a significant advantage in battle. Grievous was given a modified EV-series medical droid, named EVA-4D, by the Separatists to serve as his surgeon, doctor, and cybernetics repair mechanic. With access to all of Grievous's medical and cybernetic records, and a significantly increased intelligence, the fairly caustic and slightly sadistic droid became an ideal foil for Grievous, as well as his doctor, one of the few individuals in the galaxy who knew his master's secrets. A 4D always kept spares for the general and helped design and install the additional parts Grievous demanded. In this regard, Grievous's claim that he chose his own modifications could be considered true from a certain twisted perspective in addition to the literal one. Grievous also owned an enormous rogwart named Gore, whom he had enhanced by EVA-4D with whip-like cybernetic limbs attached to his back and an exoskeleton attached to his body. Gore, like his master, was given a chest plate to protect his vital organs and a helmet to protect his brain case. Grievous showed some affection towards Gore, and during his numerous absences, Gore was tended to by his medical droid. While Grievous claimed his old form was nothing more than weak flesh, he retained several reminders of his past life. As a cyborg, Grievous frequently wore a Kaleesh cloak, a vestige of his past identity, and a fearsome mask often worn by Kaleesh warriors. By the time he owned his fortress on the third moon of Vasek, Grievous had several statues depicting his progression from his organic life to that of a cyborg. One of these statues depicted him as a Kaleesh warrior, holding aloft a decapitated enemy head of a skrilling and a sword in the other hand. This fortress was the closest thing he had to a home and served as a hideaway and safe place where he could undergo repairs when damaged in battle. As a cyborg, Grievous often thought about his past and the life he lost. Grievous underwent cybernetic enhancements and received training in lightsaber combat from Dooku, who then invited him to join his separatist movement. Grievous accepted the offer, allying himself with other Confederacy members and the Executive Separatist Council, which included figures like San Hill and Poggle the Lesser. Unbeknownst to Grievous, Hill had secretly orchestrated an assassination attempt against him. These leaders entrusted their vast resources and large droid armies to Grievous and Dooku. Grievous stood in direct opposition to the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order, whom he had long considered mortal enemies. Despite his machine-like exterior, Grievous believed his retained organic elements set him apart, granting him a unique potential that both droids and organics found unsettling. The Clone Wars erupted between the CIS and the Republic with the Battle of Geonosis. Although Grievous's cyborg form was built around a few remaining organic parts, he secretly participated in the battle. During the skirmish, Grievous, while retreating through the Stalgasin Hive catacombs, accidentally clashed with Jedi who had wandered into the tunnels. He successfully prevented the Jedi and clone troopers from reaching the Separatist Council and escaped through the Hive tunnels, leaving no survivors to reveal his involvement, which remained undiscovered by the Republic for some time. Grievous was granted the rank of general in the Confederacy military, and Dooku personally bestowed upon him the title of Supreme Marshal Commander of the Separatist droid armies. He accepted this role with enthusiasm, becoming Commander-in-Chief and a key Separatist leader, ultimately leading the Separatist droid army. As Dooku's primary battlefield commander and most formidable enforcer, Grievous played a crucial role in the Separatists' ambitions to overthrow the Republic. In the early weeks of the war, he publicly emerged as a major Separatist leader, bringing fear and chaos across the galaxy, causing the war to expand faster than the Republic could manage and making the possibility of a Republic defeat very real. According to legend, Grievous quickly rose through the ranks due to his numerous victorious campaigns. His sheer commitment to being the best soldier earned him recognition among the powerful leaders of the Separatist movement. He was soon promoted to general and given command of vast armies and fleets. Grievous outperformed every command officer in the Republic, killing numerous Jedi and leading the Confederacy to victory in several battles. He quickly earned a reputation as a savage, merciless brute and a tactical genius, becoming one of the Separatists' best generals and military minds. His name became synonymous with brutality and slaughter, bolstered by his combat prowess and a personal fleet of specialized killing machines and vehicles. News of his abilities and victories sowed doubt in the Republic's military ranks and instilled pure fear in the hearts of his enemies. As the Clone Wars spread across the galaxy, Grievous and his forces relentlessly engaged the Grand Army of the Republic. Under his command, the Separatist droid army attacked and conquered numerous Republic planets. Wielding 4 lightsabers with 4 arms and commanding a massive army, Grievous was seen as unstoppable and was likely responsible for more Jedi deaths than anyone else during the war. Witnessing Grievous march alongside his battle droids, many found it hard to believe he wasn't entirely a machine. As the imposing leader of the Separatist army, stories of his brutality and victories struck fear throughout the Republic, though the Confederate populace wasn't informed of his bloody campaigns. Many Republic citizens, and even some within CIS territory, came to view Grievous as the face of the Confederacy, despite Dooku's status as its official leader. Those aware of the Kaleesh warrior's true nature saw him as a brutal and terrifying figure. Grievous's name was also shared with the Grievous Legion, a battle group that included at least 1 Vulture droid. During the war, Republic clone troopers nicknamed the Confederacy's battle droids Clankers and referred to Grievous as the Head Clanker, or Droid General. While the war against the Yamrii had given Grievous a vendetta against the Republic, the Clone Wars had transformed him. Indifferent to the Republic and the politics of the war, his sole objective became the extermination of the Jedi Order. This led him to escalate the conflict as his quest to annihilate the Jedi continued. Grievous's hatred of the Jedi and his unwavering confidence in his abilities were the only factors that gave his opponents any hope. Throughout the war, Grievous fought and killed numerous Jedi, drawing from his extensive experience and the advantages provided by his powerful duranium droid body, directed by the warped mentality of a severely injured warrior. He proved himself to be a formidable foe, more than a match for his adversaries. Even the Jedi engaged him cautiously, recognizing him as one of the galaxy's greatest fighters. Grievous became the most skilled and feared Jedi hunter of the war, amassing a significant collection of lightsabers and other trophies from his defeated opponents. He often employed a strategy of elusiveness, making it difficult for the Republic's forces to locate him, despite him being one of their primary targets. During the war, Grievous repeatedly dueled Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, developing a history that made him prefer engaging Kenobi over others. Grievous harbored a deep hatred for Kenobi. Their confrontations turned them into mortal adversaries with evenly matched immense abilities. Each encounter was inconclusive, but both realized that this couldn't always be the case. Kenobi's former apprentice, Jedi General Anakin Skywalker, considered Grievous a monster that needed to be stopped and made it a personal mission to find him. However, Grievous and Skywalker would not meet face to face until the war was nearly over. At the beginning of the war, on a planet where Obi-Wan Kenobi, his Padawan Anakin Skywalker, and Senator Padme Amidala were on a secret mission, Grievous sent his battle droids, including a modified MSE droid, to infiltrate their consular-class space cruiser. Grievous appeared on their screen, revealing that everything was proceeding according to his plan. Kenobi had suspected his involvement, and Grievous confirmed his concerns. Grievous ordered his droids to attack, knowing that the facilities were defeatable. He revealed his true intention, knowing there was nothing they could do to stop him. Grievous successfully reprogrammed their ship's flight computer, irreversibly directing it into the sun. Grievous explained to Padme that while they were fighting battle droids, a small droid had snuck onto their ship. While Anakin instructed Obi-Wan to remain in command, Padme assured him they would handle the droid. However, Grievous reminded them they couldn't stop his droid, just as they couldn't change the ship's direction, and ordered the droid to eliminate the Senator and the 2 Jedi. Kenobi and Skywalker regained control of the ship by having the mouse droid shoot at the control panel, then destroyed the droid, forcing Grievous to admit defeat. At some point in the war, Grievous led a fleet of Providence-class dreadnoughts to the moon of Stargek to take a valuable item from Republic Senator Yarua. He and his droid forces captured Yarua, Senator Padme Amidala, and their associates. Shortly after, the droids also captured Yarua's daughter, Vivin, and Kenobi. Once Kenobi was restrained, Grievous interrogated Yarua and Vivin about their hidden item. Kenobi appeared behind Grievous and demanded the release of Yarua and Vivin. Grievous responded by drawing his lightsabers and engaging Kenobi in combat. After being force-pushed by Kenobi, Grievous took Vivine hostage, only for Yarua to tackle him into space, sacrificing himself and allowing his daughter to escape with Kenobi. While escaping from the Separatists, Kenobi assumed Grievous was dead, but Yoda warned him not to underestimate the general. Later, Grievous launched an assault that failed to capture Outpost 716, forcing Count Dooku to dispatch his personal assassin and apprentice, Asajj Ventress, in another attempt. Despite Darth Sidious doubting Dooku's faith in his two students, Ventress successfully captured Outpost 716. Shortly into the war, Grievous personally met with the droid mercenary ADW-4 to hire him for overseeing the Separatists' operations on the planet Hisrich. Grievous admitted he would have preferred to take on the role himself, but his responsibilities as the commander of the entire Separatist droid army prevented it. Despite initial skepticism, ADW-4 accepted the job after seeing the payment and served as the commander of the droids on Hisrich, where he clashed with Jedi Master Mace Windu and his Jedi squad. Grievous later checked in via hologram to monitor ADW-4's progress. ADW-4 falsely claimed to have killed Windu, but Grievous demanded the Jedi's lightsaber as proof, which ADW-4 could not produce. Ultimately, ADW-4 was defeated and Hisrich fell to the Republic. During the early weeks of the war, Grievous had an encounter with Jedi Master Ki-Adi-Mundi, leaving the Sarian with scars across his cheek that took time to heal. At some point, Grievous dueled Jedi Knight Pablo Gil over Duro in a collapsing satellite city, leaving Gil injured and taking his blue-bladed lightsaber. Grievous also killed Jedi Master Jamar and added his green-bladed lightsaber to his collection. Following the incident on Cato Nemoidia, Grievous attacked key supply chains for war munitions. The battle on the fourth moon of Parain II marked the first serious test of Grievous's IG-100 Magna Guards and his personal customized TIS Mu-6 wheelbike. Leading his troops at the front, Grievous crushed the Republic forces led by Jedi General Sanin, who bravely confronted the cyborg directly but was stabbed in the throat by a Magna Guard wielding an electrostaff. Early in the Clone Wars, Grievous was tasked with a critical mission to deploy his droid army on the ice planet Alamas and destroy a strategic enemy stronghold. The mission was risky and ultimately failed due to his tactical droid's betrayal. Despite the high cost of sending an army there, Grievous's orders would have led to victory, but the droid altered the plan, resulting in Grievous's first major defeat, which he had to admit to his Sith masters. At another point, Grievous was contacted by Tar Kligson with coordinates to a large space station, the Haven, orbiting Kligson's moon. Arriving with 2 Magna Guards and several battle droids, Grievous offered Telemac, the station's guardian, the protection of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Telemac, however, mocked Grievous and refused, stating they did not serve organics and ending the negotiations. Grievous, tired of diplomacy, attacked Telemac and its droid army, destroying numerous droids but losing all his B-1 battle droids. Despite overestimating their capabilities, Grievous fought fiercely, but lost one of his Magna Guards. Telemac mocked him, but Grievous, realizing he had no time to deal with the droids, called in his transport shuttle, jumped on board and promised to return once the Republic fell, leaving Telemac's droids behind. At one point, Grievous launched an attack on the frozen moon Caliban, destroying a bridge in the process. He captured Jedi General Kenobi, Clone Marshal Commander Cody, and their squad of clone troopers, ordering them to rebuild the bridge to facilitate the movement of weapons and battle droids across the moon. Kenobi, however, cited the Galactic Accord of Systems, stating that prisoners of war could not be forced into manual labor. In response, the Separatist general knocked Kenobi to the ground and threatened him with death if he did not comply. Kenobi and the clones began constructing the bridge, but during the process, Grievous was distracted by a group of native Kubies who were allied with Kenobi. The Kubies piled on top of Grievous and managed to steal back Kenobi's lightsaber, which was tucked into Grievous's cloak, without the cyborg noticing. Although the bridge was eventually completed, Grievous ordered his battle droids to execute Kenobi and his men. However, the Kubies ambushed the droids, allowing Kenobi to engage Grievous while the clones reclaimed their blasters. In the ensuing battle, Grievous initially overwhelmed Kenobi, but the Jedi Master used the Force to cause an avalanche, burying Grievous and his droids. Kenobi and the clones escaped on a low-altitude assault transport infantry gunship, choosing not to capture Grievous to avoid endangering the Kubis further. Before Separatist reinforcements could arrive, they destroyed the bridge. During the Clone Wars, Grievous infiltrated the Arquitens-class light cruiser Stellar Rise with 4 IG-100 Magna Guards, intending to steal High Republic-era artifacts. He sliced through Clone Trooper checkbox with his blue lightsaber, killing him as the trooper inspected crates picked up near the Caslin system. On the bridge, the Magna Guards swiftly dispatched the entire deck crew. Grievous spared the ship's captain, Los Baraf, but was then confronted by Jedi Knight Anap Redi, who ordered him to release the captain and leave. Intrigued by the Jedi, Grievous activated his 4 lightsabers and displayed a menacing demeanor. Redi drew her green lightsaber and engaged the Magna Guards, managing to block their attacks and somersault away. Grievous stopped his droid's attack, but Redi darted out of the bridge. He ordered the droids to pursue her, tracking her to the barracks. Redi attacked unexpectedly, severing one Magna Guard's arm. The remaining droids launched a coordinated attack, driving her out of the barracks. Grievous ignited 2 lightsabers and closed in for the kill, but 4 clone troopers intervened, catching the Magna Guards off guard. Grievous, enraged, flung one of his lightsabers, slicing through 2 troopers' legs, and retrieved the blade before turning his attention back to Redi. He ignited 3 more lightsabers and rushed at her. Redi used the Force to open a blast shield behind her and stepped through it, almost losing her footing. Grievous brought down 2 blades, which she parried, while the other 2 swept low, nearly taking out her legs. She soared above the lightsabers and kicked Grievous in the chest, unbalancing him. Grievous pressed his attack, nearly disarming her. Redi then lowered the shield, separating them from the ongoing battle between the troopers and IG-100 droids. She informed Grievous that Master Jocasta Nu described her as having an old soul. Grievous replied that would soon be all that remained of her and moved forward, spinning his lightsabers at near impossible speeds. In a desperate defense, Redi threw her ignited lightsaber at Grievous, which went harmlessly by and landed in an ancillary walkway. Ultimately, Redi tricked Grievous into entering an escape pod, and the Republic ship jumped to light speed, leaving him alone and adrift in space. Around the time of the Battle of Christophsis, Grievous had spread Republic forces thin, hampering efforts to locate Rotta the Hutt after his secret kidnapping by the CIS. Following the Republic's victories on Christophsis and Dantooine, which gave the impression the war was turning in the Republic's favor, Grievous took command at Hypori and led a brutal slaughter of clone troopers and Jedi. During the battle, a group of Jedi Knights was taken by surprise, and the wreckage of an Acclamator-class cruiser that had crashed earlier on Hypori remained as a grim memorial. Grievous was known to lead starfleets within the Confederate Navy to further his conquest of Republic planets, leaving them wrecked and burned. Commanding the Separatist forces in the Clone Wars, Grievous was given the Subjugator-class heavy cruiser Malevolence as his flagship. From the Malevolence's bridge, Grievous commanded millions of battle droids, using the warship in the Malevolence campaign to execute attacks on Republic fleets that left no survivors. He gradually unveiled the capabilities of his new ship, tearing through Republic shipping, destroying cargo vessels and their escorts for weeks. For months, rumors circulated about a terrifying new Separatist weapon, causing widespread concern about the cyborg general. One such attack occurred at the Battle of the Fu system, where the Malevolence wiped out 3 Venator-class star destroyers under the command of Jedi Master Ariz Nuni. Following that victory, while stationed in the Abrogado system with Count Dooku aboard, a Republic fleet led by Jedi Master Plo Koon and Clone Commander Wolf arrived to engage the warship. The Malevolence's mega-ion cannons disabled the Republic fleet's deflector shields and fired on the defenseless star destroyers, destroying the entire fleet. A few individuals managed to survive by launching in escape pods, including General Plo Koon, Commander Wolf, Clone Sergeant Sinker, and Clone Trooper Boost, who were eventually rescued by Anakin Skywalker and his Padawan Ahsoka Tano aboard the Twilight. The escape of survivors shook Dooku's trust in Grievous, leading the Sith Lord to discuss the matter with Darth Sidious. After destroying a Republic convoy in the Rindelia system, Grievous, under Dooku's instructions, took the Malevolence to destroy a Republic medical facility, treating over 60,000 wounded clones. The journey to the target required navigating around the Kaleida Nebula, frustrating Grievous due to the time consumption. Upon arrival, the ion cannons of the Malevolence were disabled by a small strike force led by General Skywalker. A Republic fleet led by Obi-Wan Kenobi then attacked the crippled ship, forcing Grievous to retreat. Dooku devised a new plan to take Senator Amidala hostage. After capturing Amidala's ship, the Republic fleet stopped firing, and a rescue team led by Kenobi and Skywalker boarded the Malevolence. Grievous briefly fought Kenobi and overpowered him, but as he prepared to kill the Jedi, Kenobi escaped on another vehicle, saluting the general as he left. The two Jedi managed to escape with Padme and her protocol droid C-3PO. Grievous ordered the Malevolence to retreat to hyperspace, planning to meet at a separatist base in Sector 4. Grievous pursued the Twilight in his personal starfighter, the Soulless One, with a squadron of vulture droids, but Skywalker had sabotaged the Malevolence's navigation system, causing the ship to crash into the nearby dead moon of Antar. Grievous escaped in the Soulless One, but cut off a transmission with a questioning Count Dooku. While Grievous escaped, the loss of the Malevolence was a significant blow to Darth Sidious's plans and the Separatist movement, representing a poor return on a large investment of time and resources. This loss kept Grievous at bay for a while. Only a few months later, Grievous would face Luminara Unduli in person at Nadium in the Outer Rim. The Republic endeavored to track down Grievous, but despite clone intelligence spotting him in the Balmorra system, the general managed to stay out of reach. Several weeks after his sighting, Anakin Skywalker was losing sleep over the search for the cyborg, denying himself rest until Grievous was found. While Obi-Wan Kenobi believed they would detect Grievous if he entered their quadrant, the general was actually preparing an attack on Kamino. According to the Separatist invasion plan, Grievous would remain undetectable by taking over the Rishi station. By seizing the listening outpost and keeping its all-clear signal broadcasting, Republic forces would assume Kamino was secure, allowing Grievous's fleet to launch a surprise assault on the planet. Determined to halt clone production on Kamino, Grievous sent a team of BX series droid commandos to capture Rishi Station from the clone troopers posted there. After taking control, the commando droid's captain contacted Grievous aboard his Munificent-class star frigate, informing him that the outpost was secure and the alarm disabled. With the all-clear signal activated, Grievous ordered the signal to remain active to avoid drawing the Republic's attention and maintain the element of surprise. After ending the transmission, a battle droid informed Grievous that their spy on Kamino, Asajj Ventress, was contacting him. Ventress assured Grievous that everything was ready for the invasion. Pleased, Grievous informed her that he was nearing their rendezvous point. However, Clone Captain Rex and Clone Commander Cody soon visited the station for a security checkup, discovering the outpost had been taken. They met with the survivors and retook the station from the commando droids. When communication with the droids was abruptly cut off, Grievous sent a battalion of B-1 series battle droids to inspect the station and was informed that clones were present. One of the clone troopers, Heavy, sacrificed himself to destroy the base, which angered Grievous as he believed the droids had blown it up. The base's destruction ended the all-clear signal, alerting the Republic fleet to Grievous's location. Upon the Republic's arrival, Grievous immediately realized his forces were outgunned and ordered a full retreat, postponing the Kamino invasion. Knowing Kamino would be targeted again, the Galactic Senate issued a dead or alive warrant for General Grievous. Shortly after the Malevolence offensive, Grievous launched another campaign, targeting Republic fleets in the Outer Rim territories using the newly created Skytop Station, a separatist battlesphere that functioned as a listening post. This allowed him to locate and ambush Republic fleets without warning. Grievous led his forces against the Republic in the Outer Rim, gaining significant victories that weakened the Republic's foothold in the region. Despite suffering a few serious setbacks, Grievous continued his relentless advance, leading the Separatists to numerous triumphs and proving to be a nearly indestructible adversary for both the Jedi and the Republic, leaving a trail of conquest and destruction across the galaxy. In a single month, he led the invasion of several planets and captured vital hyperspace lanes leading to Bespin, Kessel, and Mon Calamari. Anakin Skywalker and his battle group fought against Grievous's forces but failed to halt his progress. Grievous's next target was Botha-Wui, the Bothan homeworld, and a critical intelligence hub for the Republic. He intercepted the Republic fleet in hyperspace, engaging the Jedi and their clone troopers before they could reach Botha-Wui. Grievous considered abandoning the pursuit of Skywalker's fleet to coordinate attacks against Republic forces near Faline. With the assistance of Count Dooku and Asajj Ventress, Grievous led a fleet to attack Faline, capturing the planet for the Separatists. He then prepared to take Botha-Wui in the Mid-Rim territories, planning to attack Skywalker's fleet with intelligence from his spies. After decimating the Republic battle group at Faline, Grievous's fleet moved on to Botha-Wui, which held high strategic value and was protected by Skywalker and a weary fleet of Republic cruisers. Understanding that a direct attack would be disadvantageous, Grievous maneuvered his fleet through an asteroid field to engage Skywalker's forces, using the asteroids for cover. Skywalker then deployed Gold Squadron from his flagship, the Resolute, to draw out the general. As Grievous's fleet exited the asteroid field, they managed to severely damage a Republic cruiser, but were soon outflanked by all-terrain tactical enforcers hidden on the asteroids. Enraged and shocked that Skywalker anticipated his tactics, Grievous ordered an immediate retreat. Frustrated with his battle droid commander's confusion, Grievous abandoned his flagship and left the droids behind. He fled in his personal starfighter, Soulless One, to avoid destruction or capture, leaving the Separatist fleet to be annihilated. This action highlighted Skywalker's bold maneuvers and Grievous's tendency to flee when battles turned unfavorable. Skywalker spotted Grievous and attempted to pursue him in his Delta 7B Aethersprite class interceptor, but his damaged fighter soon spun out of control. Grievous, meanwhile, powered up Soulless One's hyperdrive and jumped into hyperspace, escaping while the rest of his fleet was destroyed. However, his victory over Faline helped offset his earlier failures at Kamino and Botha-Wui. Following his defeat at Botha-Wui, Grievous contacted the Trandoshan salvager Gar Nakht, requesting him to search the debris field for an astromech droid and rendezvous at Skytop Station on Ruusan's moon once found. The droid in question, R2-D2, belonged to General Skywalker, and Grievous suspected it contained vital military secrets that could aid the Separatists. Later, Nakht contacted Grievous to inform him that he had acquired the droid and was heading to their rendezvous point. Nakht mentioned that Skywalker had boarded his ship searching for the droid and, believing it valuable, demanded more money than previously agreed upon. Grievous threatened Nakht, warning him not to provoke his anger and to arrive quickly or face dire consequences. Soon after, Grievous detected the beacon of Skywalker's fighter, activated by R3-S6, a Separatist spy posing as Skywalker's replacement astromech droid. Grievous, aboard his new command ship, suddenly emerged from hyperspace, destroying Skywalker's hyperspace transport ring to prevent his escape, and launched a squadron of Vulture droids to kill the Jedi. However, Skywalker was saved by the timely arrival of his apprentice Ahsoka Tano and the freighter Twilight. Grievous ordered his ships to stop their escape, but the Twilight navigated between two battleships, causing them to collide and destroy the Vulture droids, allowing the Jedi to jump to hyperspace. Enraged, Grievous decapitated a battle droid that had pointed out the Jedi's escape. Nakht arrived at Skytop Station with R2-D2 and began disassembling the astromech to sift through its memory banks for valuable information. Grievous listened as Nakht revealed that the data within the droid had never been erased and contained a wealth of exploitable information. Nakht demanded double the agreed price, but Grievous, fed up with his incompetence, impaled him with his lightsaber, killing him. The spy R3-S6 then informed Grievous that the Jedi had infiltrated the station to rescue the droid. Grievous ordered R3 to distract them until he arrived and tasked his IG-100 Magna Guards with securing the astromech while he confronted the Jedi. Grievous encountered Ahsoka Tano, Captain Rex, and a squad of clone troopers, engaging them in combat and killing all the clones except Rex and Denal, who were saved by Ahsoka. Despite her efforts, Ahsoka was quickly overpowered and forced to retreat further into the station, with Grievous and R3 in pursuit. While searching an abandoned spare parts room for her, Grievous learned that Skywalker had gone to rescue his astromech. He instructed R3 to ensure Skywalker could not escape. Grievous eventually found Tano clamping a metal hand around her throat and examining her fallen lightsaber. Believing he had won, he taunted her, saying Skywalker would be next. Despite Tano's claims that her master would destroy Skytop Station, Grievous was confident otherwise. However, the Republic squad detonated explosives in the reactor room, crippling the station's repulsor lift systems. As the station shook, Tano severed the hand clamped around her throat and escaped through an air duct. With their mission complete and R2-D2 safely back with Skywalker, the Jedi made their escape. Grievous retreated aboard the Soulless One as the station collapsed. Following the loss of the Malevolence, Grievous was forced to command Munificent-class star frigates as his flagships. This defeat pleased Neimoidian Viceroy Newt Gunray, who despised Grievous for receiving preferential treatment from Count Dooku. Eventually, Grievous demanded the Providence-class dreadnought Invisible Hand to serve as his flagship, and Darth Sidious quietly but firmly ordered Gunray to comply. Although furious, Gunray could not refuse, bringing Grievous great satisfaction. The Invisible Hand was turned over to Grievous, who used it throughout the conflict and solidified his reputation for violent excess. The ship became well known and feared across the Republic, posing a constant threat in battles for key worlds. Prior to the discovery of his lair by the Jedi Master Nebo was on the moons of Sanjin, attempting to protect refugees but was presumed missing. Later, Jedi Master Kit Fisto and his former apprentice Nadar Veb found Nebo's lightsaber among Grievous's trophies of slain Jedi. There were also rumors that Grievous had a laboratory built on the moon of Gentes. During the war, Grievous ravaged the homeworld of Ralakili, leaving the man with a hatred for droids that culminated in him running droid-fighting pits on the planet Vandor. Later in the war, Grievous was ordered by his master to return to his fortress on the third moon of Vasek. Upon arrival, he found his Magna Guards had been deactivated. Despite some victories, Grievous had failed to meet the Sith's expectations, losing several key campaigns. As a result, Count Dooku, having set a trap to test the general's abilities, lured the Jedi and clones to Grievous's fortress under the false belief that Viceroy Newt Gunray was there, leaving Grievous to either live or die. With his bodyguards deactivated and the Jedi infiltrating the base, Dooku intended to punish Grievous for his recent failures. Inside the fortress, Grievous was ambushed by Jedi Knights Kit Fisto and Nadar Veb, along with a squad of clone troopers led by Commander Phil. Grievous ignited 2 lightsabers and confronted the Jedi, holding them off before separating his arms to wield 2 more lightsabers. During the duel, a clone trooper fired ascension cables at Grievous's legs, latching onto them, and Fisto managed to sever the lower half of one leg. Despite this, the cyborg climbed onto the roof and fled, but the clones forced him back to the ground. Grievous crossed blades with Veb, who managed to knock away one of his lightsabers. Climbing to the roof again, Grievous battled Fisto, using a dead clone's body to force the Jedi Master backward, and then tossing it onto Veb. He dropped down, escaped back to the roof, and took a blaster shot to the face before entering the command center. In the control room, Grievous spoke with his medical droid EVA-4D, who informed him that his Magna Guards had been remotely deactivated. Reactivating his droid guards, Grievous locked down the fortress and triggered a trap that killed another clone. Leading the Jedi and clone into a large room resembling a fighting arena, he unleashed his pet Rogwart, Gore, to entertain their guests. Fisto warned Veb and Phil of the impending danger, which was greater than Grievous himself. After making repairs, Grievous checked on the Jedi only to discover that they had killed his beloved pet. Furious at Gore's death, Grievous's hatred for the Jedi grew, and he vowed vengeance. However, he was interrupted by Count Dooku, who revealed that he had allowed the Jedi into the fortress to assess Grievous's usefulness following his previous failures. Enraged and determined to hunt down and kill Fisto and Veb, Grievous ignored EVA-4D's advice to rest. Leaving the command center, Grievous was warned by his doctor that the Jedi were ready to attack. Veb cut his way through Grievous's Magna Guards while Fisto slipped inside the command center. Grievous engaged Padawan Nadar Veb in a fierce duel, using his multiple limbs to kill Veb with a well-timed blaster shot. Adding Veb's lightsaber to his collection, Grievous then intimidated Fisto by showing him the duel and his former apprentice's death on video. With Veb dead, Grievous pursued Fisto onto the castle's outer platform. Grievous climbed onto the platform from behind and engaged the Jedi Master in combat. As they fought, Fisto deactivated his lightsaber and used the dense fog surrounding the castle to his advantage, sneaking up on Grievous. Grievous positioned his 4 lightsabers defensively in front of him, but Fisto attacked from behind, nearly surprising the general. Despite Grievous's superior lightsaber skills, Fisto gained the upper hand, severing one of Grievous's hands holding Veb's lightsaber and reclaiming the weapon in respect for his fallen comrade. Fisto used the Force to push Grievous, causing him to lose his balance momentarily. However, Grievous quickly recovered and continued the duel with renewed vigor. Suddenly, 3 Magna Guards arrived to support Grievous. Fisto found himself surrounded and outnumbered. Grievous ordered him to surrender, but the Jedi managed to escape by jumping into his ship's open cockpit and returning to Coruscant, now aware of the general's hideout. The test highlighted Grievous's capabilities, proving he could match a Jedi Master in hand-to-hand combat. However, it also exposed weaknesses in the Jedi Order that had been apparent since the Clone Wars began. Shortly afterward, Grievous contacted Dooku, boasting about his victory but admitting Fisto had escaped. Dooku congratulated him but noted there was still room for improvement, leaving the cyborg to reflect on his failures. Grievous barely survived the encounter, aware of the cost of failing the Sith again. His hatred for Dooku intensified, sensing treachery he was unwilling to forgive. He would soon have his revenge. On the General's orders, EVA-4D was recovered, rebuilt, and continued to serve him until the war's end. However, with the Republic having discovered his lair, Grievous was forced to abandon Vasek 3 and relocate his base of operations. Later in the war, Grievous led the blockade of Felucia, and Skywalker, Kenobi, and Tano were sent to break it. The Battle of Felucia was fierce, with the Republic forces on the verge of disaster. The Separatist planetary blockade in orbit was shattered by Republic cruisers, and rescue gunships were deployed to airlift survivors to safety. Eventually, the Republic forces were outnumbered, nearly overrun by the Separatist droid army, and pushed off Felucia, securing the strategic planet for the Separatists. After Padme Amidala discovered Senator Rush Clovis was allied with the Separatists and conspired with them to fund a new droid factory on Geonosis. Grievous used his agile fleet to attack and invade the planet Dorin to drive Republic forces away from Geonosis. However, forces led by Skywalker and Tano defeated Grievous's forces on Dorin, allowing them to soon join Luminara Unduli, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and Obi-Wan Kenobi for the second invasion of Geonosis. Grievous's invasion of Dorin demonstrated that, despite inconclusive reconnaissance and information, the planet had once again become a priority target. During the war, General Grievous ambushed Jedi Master Eth Koth's flagship near the planet Arda in the Outer Rim. He boarded the vessel with a force of battle droids, quickly overwhelming the defenders. Confronting Koth on the bridge, Grievous expressed his anticipation of meeting the Jedi Master. Koth remarked on Grievous's reputation as a murderer and coward, to which Grievous retorted, questioning whether killing Jedi was truly murder. The two engaged in a brief but intense duel, ending when Koth managed to force-push Grievous into a viewport. The General's Magna Guards then shocked Koth, defeating him and bringing him to his knees. Grievous picked up the incapacitated Jedi by the neck, taking him prisoner instead of killing him as he normally would. He enjoyed the misery it caused and wanted to attract more Jedi. Grievous also added Koth's lightsaber to his collection. Grievous sent a message to the Jedi Council showing himself torturing Koth and promising to kill the Jedi Master. He threatened to hunt down and eliminate the remaining Jedi. However, Koth managed to communicate a secret message to the Council using hand signals indicating they were in the Salukami system. The Council dispatched Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and Adi Gallia to rescue Koth. Upon arrival, Kenobi engaged Grievous to distract him, while Skywalker and Gallia snuck aboard Grievous's ship to rescue Koth. Grievous, having anticipated the trick, laid a trap for the Jedi. Despite his efforts, Skywalker and Gallia successfully rescued Koth. Meanwhile, Grievous gained the upper hand in his duel with Kenobi. But his commando droids were overwhelmed by Skywalker and Gallia. Grievous's flagship, a Recusant-class light destroyer, came under heavy fire from Skywalker's trio of star destroyers, and was nearly eliminated. Forced to withdraw from his duel, Grievous fled in a Trade Federation landing ship, which malfunctioned, leading him and his droids to evacuate into escape pods. Obi-Wan Kenobi pursued Grievous to Salakami, attempting to capture the cyborg general. Recognizing the need to escape before being located, Grievous saw Kenobi's Acclamator-class assault ship overhead. One of Grievous's battle droids reported that their escape pod's transmitter was destroyed, making it impossible to contact the fleet. With only one functional escape pod remaining, Grievous ordered his units to find transportation. Using a reek for transport and appropriating several Eopes as pack animals, Grievous and his droids moved towards the escape pod in the wetlands. Despite their initial failure, Grievous and Ventress planned another invasion of Kamino. However, a transmission between the two was intercepted by the Galactic Republic, prompting the deployment of the 501st Legion to Kamino in anticipation of the attack. Before the battle, Grievous and Ventress decided to initiate their assault on Tipoca City, the site of the Republic's cloning facilities. Jedi General Shakti was already present on Kamino, while Wolf Yularen managed a Republic blockade against Grievous' fleet. As Grievous engaged the blockade, Ventress attacked the city with her Trident-class assault ships and AQ-series battle droids. After a struggle, Grievous broke through the blockade and landed with the remainder of his forces, eager to deny Ventress all the credit. Grievous then spoke with Ventress about their objectives. He would assault the clone trooper barracks, while Ventress would obtain a sample of Jango Fett's DNA, the template for the Grand Army's clones. Ventress succeeded in acquiring the DNA but lost it during a confrontation with Skywalker. Meanwhile, Grievous was confronted by Kenobi, leading to a heated battle until a Trident ship destroyed the pier they fought on. Believing Kenobi was killed in the explosion, Grievous escaped aboard a flight pod and rescued Ventress from Skywalker and the clones. Both Separatist commanders failed in their missions and were forced to retreat. As the war continued, clone production resumed, and the Separatists faced an increasing number of clones. Grievous' attack demonstrated two key points. Any planet in the Republic was vulnerable, and the Republic had intelligence leaks. Following orders from his master, Dooku instructed Grievous to arrange an attack on Coruscant. Grievous managed this by deploying several infiltrator demolition droids disguised as cleaning droids. These droids sabotaged Coruscant's central power distribution grid, disabling power while the Galactic Senate was voting on the Confederate Republic Peace Initiative, effectively ending the initiative. Coruscant suffered more damage from these droids than any other attack in 1,000 years, with numerous explosions and many casualties. After their success on Felucia, the Separatists constructed several outposts on the planet, planning to maintain a droid presence there. This victory affected the Republic's war effort, taking weeks for them to regain any initiative. Plo Koon, Anakin Skywalker, and Ahsoka Tano led the 104th Battalion into enemy territory with the help of clone tank divisions, seeking to shatter the Separatists' control on Felucia. Grievous learned that Republic forces led by Koon, Skywalker, and Tano fought to reclaim the planet. In retaliation, Grievous reinforced one of his outposts overseen by the tactical droid TZ-33 on the planet. Despite his efforts, the Separatist base was quickly taken over by the Republic, who gained control of Felucia and the surrounding region. After the assassination of King Yos Kolina of the Mon Calamari, who had sought the Republic and Jedi's help to prevent civil war, Prince Lichar was set to succeed him. However, his inexperience and youth worked against him. Kolina's assassination pushed the planet's Quarren and Mon Calamari inhabitants to the brink of civil war. By the time the Republic dispatched Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker and Senator Padme Amidala to ease tensions and ensure Lichar's ascension, Grievous's fleets had taken over much of the surrounding space. The Separatists sent the bloodthirsty Kakarodan warlord Rif Tamsin to represent their interests, who was responsible for Kolina's death. After a humiliating defeat at the Battle of Naboo, the Trade Federation and later the Separatist armies long desired control of the planet. This time, Count Dooku, backed by General Grievous, led the scheme. Dooku had a vested interest in Naboo due to its connections to Palpatine. Grievous relished the chance to fight on Naboo but did not overwhelm the Gungans as he expected. Nonetheless, he had responsibilities, and Dooku was on Naboo to ensure the general carried them out. Later, during the Clone Wars, Grievous suffered a defeat when he attempted to invade Naboo. Count Dooku and his agent, Minister Rish Lu, seized control of the Gungan boss Leonie and the Gungan Grand Army. However, the Gungan army did not march on Theed, and Grievous arrived on Naboo to demand an explanation from Leonie. Jar Jar Binks, posing as Boss Leonie, and Gungan General Roose Tarpals distracted him. Tarpals and Jar Jar met Grievous, and Tarpals slipped away to alert Padme Amidala of the situation. Padme suggested deactivating the droid army and capturing the isolated Grievous. After Dooku killed Rish Lu, Anakin encountered Dooku. Still impersonating Leonie, Jar Jar kept Grievous waiting until the cyborg lost patience and discovered his deactivated droid army and himself surrounded by Gungans. Grievous mocked the Gungans, believing they could not compete with him. However, General Roose Tarpals intervened and engaged Grievous in a duel. Tarpals sacrificed himself to impale Grievous with his electropole, shorting out the cyborg's internal systems and making him easily capturable. The Gungan army bombarded the injured general with energized projectiles and captured him. Fortunately for Grievous, Dooku, following Sidious's orders, captured Skywalker and forced Padme Amidala to agree to a prisoner exchange. Despite his capture, Grievous would soon have the opportunity to prove his worth to his masters once again. While leading a small fleet consisting of 2 Munificent-class frigates and his command ship, a Providence-class dreadnought, Grievous launched a surprise attack on the flagship of Jedi Council member Adi Gallia. She was returning to Coruscant from a mercy mission on Aleen. With the combined might of his 3 warships overwhelming Gallia's single Republic Star Destroyer, Grievous and his forces quickly boarded the vessel and engaged the 91st Recon Corps. Gallia, forced to abandon ship, was separated from Commander Neo and her troops long enough for Grievous to capture her, after a brief but intense duel. Jedi Master Plo Koon quickly dispatched a group of Republic ships to launch a rescue mission. Shortly after, Grievous attacked and destroyed a pirate ship for target practice, but his ship was then boarded by Plo Koon and his forces. Emerging from hyperspace with no less than 5 Republic Star Destroyers, Koon and his team rescued Gallia and forced Grievous to flee. Grievous was involved in a project overseeing the creation of a new type of battle droid and superweapon known as the Mega Droid, which were to be manufactured on the planet Golotha and unleashed during the Clone Wars. Dubbed Operation Titan, the project was based at a separatist facility on Enthenium. Upon arriving at the base, Grievous was informed that the factory on Golotha was nearly ready to commence field tests by the end of the week. He soon discovered Jedi Master Yoda using one of the base's computers to gain insight into the secret project. Greeting Yoda, the Kaleesh cyborg commented on the pleasure of meeting him, having been trained by Yoda's former student, Count Dooku. Grievous, aware of Yoda's legendary reputation, had hoped to meet him in combat, and that time had come. He ignited one of his lightsabers and dueled with the Grand Master. Despite his mechanical enhancements, Grievous was quickly proven wrong about Yoda's disadvantage due to his small size. Yoda leaped over Grievous and landed a strike on his head, marking his faceplate. Grievous considered it a lucky strike and continued to engage, but was soon frozen in place by Yoda's Force abilities. Yoda pointed out that despite Grievous's use of Jedi weapons, he lacked the connection with the Force that true Jedi had. Yoda then pushed him into a wall with the Force. Unharmed, Grievous continued his duel until his army of battle droids interrupted, giving Yoda time to escape through a conduit after stealing Grievous's lightsaber with the Force. About 2 years after the Jedi infiltrated his lair, Grievous hunted 2 Jedi on Ladiv. He killed a Mikian Jedi in the forest, took her lightsaber and tracked down her Padawan, whom he killed after a brief battle, obtaining the boy's lightsaber and a datapad revealing the location of an ancient Jedi temple. Determined to repay the Jedi for infiltrating his home, Grievous set out to find the temple. Scaling the temple and entering it, Grievous found a hallway of Jedi statues. Reminded of his statues on Vasek, he believed his were earned, unlike the Jedi's. He reduced the statues to rubble and moved on, evading traps within the temple. He avoided a pit of lava, dodged spikes, scrambled under other booby traps, and eventually reached the central chamber. Believing the temple's secrets were his, Grievous attempted to retrieve a shining sigil from within a waterfall. Unable to grasp it, he blamed a sensor error and repeatedly tried to grab the image until he grew angry enough to fling himself into the raging water. The general found himself floating in a bizarre cosmic landscape where he was taunted by disembodied voices, mocking his quest for knowledge and his cybernetic enhancements. Suddenly, Grievous appeared as he once was, in his original Kalish form, as the voices accused him of trying to destroy a power beyond his understanding. He watched in horror as his limbs detached, leaving him as a collection of organs floating in the void while the voices continued to belittle him for being small. Emerging from the waterfall unscathed, Grievous furiously attacked the flow with his blades but was unable to damage the shining entity within. Disgusted, he exited the temple and transmitted its coordinates to a Providence-class dreadnought in orbit. The ship's laser strike obliterated the temple, leaving a smoldering crater which Grievous observed until nightfall. Confident he had destroyed the entity, Grievous departed, unaware of the glowing sigil amidst the devastation. After his former apprentice, Asajj Ventress, aided by Mother Talzin and the Night Sisters from Dathomir, attempted to assassinate him, Dooku summoned Grievous and ordered him to annihilate the Night Sisters. Eager to eliminate his old rival, Grievous readily accepted. He led a separatist fleet to Dathomir and landed his forces on the planet. Aware of the Night Sisters' formidable abilities and not underestimating them, he took no chances, following his master's stern warnings. He had Hyena-class droid bombers launch an airstrike on their village before deploying C-9979 landing crafts with ground troops. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, the Night Sisters initially held their ground, prompting Grievous to deploy armored assault tanks and a defoliator deployment tank to burn the forest, successfully driving them back. However, Talzin enlisted the help of old Daka, the eldest Night Sister, who used her magic to raise an army of the dead. With Ventress leading the charge, the Night Sisters pushed forward, destroying the defoliator tank and advancing to the open field where Grievous commanded his troops. The two armies faced each other, and Ventress challenged Grievous to a duel, proposing that if he won, the Night Sisters would surrender, but if she won, Grievous and his army would leave Dathomir. They engaged in a fierce lightsaber duel, initially appearing evenly matched until Ventress severed one of Grievous's mechanical arms and knocked him to the ground. Holding all the military cards and with no intention of honoring the duel's outcome, Grievous ordered his battle droids to kill her. Ventress fought back but was shot in the shoulder. As Grievous moved in to finish her, a wave of Night Sister zombies attacked and the battle between the armies resumed. With the help of a fellow Night Sister, Ventress managed to escape in the chaos. While cutting down the attacking zombies, Grievous was contacted by Dooku, who was being attacked in a voodoo-like manner by Mother Talzin's magic. Dooku ordered Grievous to trace the Night Sister magic to its source and kill Talzin before she could torture him to death. Following the green magic trail to the Night Sister village and a secret cave where both Talzin and Daka were performing their rituals, Grievous killed several Night Sisters along the way. He then ordered one of his commando droids to create an entrance to the cave, where he violently murdered Daka, stopping Talzin from further torturing Dooku. However, Talzin vanished into the Force before he could kill her as well, escaping Grievous's blades. With Daka's death, all the resurrected Night Sisters returned to their graves, leaving the remaining ones overwhelmed and outnumbered. They were eventually massacred by Grievous's army, ending their resistance. The battle left more witches dead than droids, with no one left to care for the dead. Around that time, a small group of Night Sisters fled for their lives after an overwhelming assault by a wave of battle droids swept through the burning forest, only to run into Grievous. He impaled one of them from behind with his lightsaber, and then attacked Morgan Elsbeth and her clan, who were distracted when several commando droids arrived and opened fire. Selena intervened, ordering her daughter to stay back, and used two sickles enchanted with magic to attack Grievous. As he activated his second lightsaber, Grievous followed Selena further into the forest, away from the battle site, exchanging blows until Selena hooked Grievous's blades beneath her sickles. He released them and unleashed a powerful strike, breaking her defense and forcing her to retreat. Grievous advanced, spinning two lightsabers towards Selena as Morgan fought a commando droid, leaving Selena defenseless and forcing her to withdraw into the woods. Switching between his blades, Grievous repeatedly struck the elderly Night Sister, breaking her defense and leaving her vulnerable. He seized Selena, pressed her to the ground, and hurled her across the ground. Grievous slowly approached her, ready to strike her down, but she rose and blocked his attack. They locked blades, and as Morgan turned to help her mother, Grievous activated a third blade from his left arm, stabbing Selena in the torso. In her final moments, Selena ordered her daughter to run. Grievous laughed and then struck Selena down with his 3 lightsabers. After killing Selena and mockingly yelling at Morgan to run, Grievous ordered his forces to annihilate the remaining Night Sisters, leaving the landscape a burning wasteland. To root out any surviving Night Sisters, Grievous deployed patrols of HMP droid gunships, probe droids and battle droids across the forest and mountains following the battle to hunt down any survivors of the Separatist invasion. Sometime after the battle, Dooku informed Grievous that with the Night Sisters dead, there was no one left to control the rogue savage Oprus, whose powers were growing. Grievous mocked Dooku's notion that Oprus could pose a threat to them. Unbeknownst to them, Ventress and Talzin had survived the battle. Ventress found her way off Dathomir, while Talzin, whom Grievous believed to be dead, was forced to dissolve her physical form, seeking refuge in the spiritual realm. Though Grievous's arrogance and overconfidence led to his capture by Gungan and Republic forces on Naboo, necessitating Dooku's intervention, he was forgiven for saving Dooku's life during the attack on Dathomir. With the Night Sisters no longer a threat and Asajj gone, Grievous was once more used to settle his master's personal score and was sent to Florum to overrun the infamous pirate Hondo Ohnaka's base, in retaliation for an earlier humiliation Dooku had suffered at Hondo's hands. The Sith Lord still held a grudge against the Wookiee pirate and his crew, having previously held him captive, although Grievous had been overjoyed by his master's frustration, arrogant capture, and brutal punishment.